Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Let's Talk Automotive, and we are on episode 66, can you believe it or not? And for those of you that are joining us live, no, Fani has not lost weight and grown hair since last week. We in fact have a guest presenter in the form of Brett Carl. Welcome so much, Brett.
Good evening, yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Excellent. So, Fani's away on holiday, so we asked you to kindly come in and fill in his hot seat, and I think we're going to have an awesome show tonight. So we're going to kick off with some news, and then we're going to have a review of the Nissan Navara, and it's a special edition in the Kalahari. And of course our guest tonight is Dave Esterhuizen from Daze.
We'll have some game time with Dave as well, so I think will be quite interesting to test him and see who wins that game time. And then we'll go into how things work, one of your fascinating videos again, and then we'll end the stream with some entertaining fun time around what we've seen on the interwebs in the past week or so.
Looking forward to it. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is an interactive show, so we encourage you to participate, put your comments and questions online, and we'll certainly pick them up, especially with our guest Dave. But let's get cracking. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Automotive. All right, so Brett, it's been a busy week for the two of us. What have you been up to?
So I'm involved in quite an exciting project. You know, I work in the industry with a number of providers, and it's an exciting time. I'm heavily involved in this electromobility space, the electric cars, and trying to answer a lot of the questions that people have. So we get to discuss all week around the cars, the charging infrastructure. So it's been a challenging week. I'm not going to deny that, but I think it's a fascinating time in the industry. So it's been a good week. And yourself?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, we often talk about electric vehicles on the show, and we're kind of schizophrenic about them, I suppose. But I've been nice and busy with the launch training for the new Suzuki Celerio. And we also, this morning, saw a sneak preview of the new Baleno, which looks like a fantastic new vehicle. And we're going to put the link to this video in the description. So guys, go and have a look at this. It's certainly an exciting car that we are looking forward to coming soon.
It's an exciting time, I think, just for the industry. There's so many different things. There's so much happening. 2 wheels, 4 wheels. It's just, you know, for those of us who work in the trade, I think it's a fascinating time.
Yeah, no, it is a very, very awesome time to be alive in this industry. So we're looking forward to that. But Brett, I think let's maybe kick on with our first segment, and let's have a look at what is in the news. All right, so first up, Brett, we have the Audi launch of the e-tron, and you know quite a bit about this vehicle.
It's been an interesting time. So I've done some work with some of the brands. I've really enjoyed looking at the technology in something like the BMW iX, and then also the company strategy. So I think this is the important part to see. Audi are launching all of these e-tron vehicles, and they've launched 6 now, and they've committed to a lot of future launches as well.
Oh, look at that.
So just look at the vehicle has presence.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous.
What's interesting for me is that these cars are so good. They're fabulous products. And the questions come around ecosystem and charging infrastructure and all of these things. And there's a lot of commitment from a lot of the manufacturers around building more chargers, around solving those problems as well. So what I'm seeing, like with Audi and with BMW and with Porsche with their Taycan, all these EVs and hybrids that are coming into our little market, never mind how it's influencing international markets, becomes interesting around how they're approaching solving that customer problem. And something I use a lot in my consulting as well.
Excellent.
Solve the problem, and you're seeing it from the manufacturers. Well, exciting times.
I think there's a lot of effort in terms of putting up charging stations. I mean, that's certainly something that's been on my mind, something that I've been a bit critical about in terms of how we're going to do that. But there is an e-mobility conference on the 1st and 2nd of March that will be broadcast from Bottomside Studios on Zoom. So that's something to look forward to as well. And maybe the guys can answer some of the concerns that I have and perhaps some of the other customers have. So yeah, exciting stuff.
And it's evolving. We're in the middle of a phase of rapid evolution of the industry we love so dearly. So to be a part of this phase change, it's the biggest change we've had as an industry probably since the invention of petrol.
Well, talking about shake-ups, obviously Russia has been in the news of late with what's going on in Ukraine, and we started to see some stories. Oh, first of all, let's backtrack a little bit and let's have a look at the suggestion that
I did say petrol. I did say petrol.
You did say petrol?
Yes.
Yep. The AA called on government to review the fuel levy. Now, this is something that we've spoken about. We've discussed our fuel price on the show, and we're still not in bad shape relative to the rest of the world when it comes to the per litre price of fuel. I think our only concern as consumers is the percentage of the fuel price that's made up in levies, and government has said that they are going to review it. I don't know if I'm so convinced about that.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing because the government needs their tax. They need to, and the topics this evening are actually all quite interlinked because it's volatile now with the oil price. It's going to hit $100 a barrel. And how does that influence our fuel price? So we know there's increases coming from next month. What happens for the next 3, 4, 6 months, shall we say? So it's a volatile topic. And is there an answer? We tied in with the previous topic around electric vehicles. There's no fuel tax when you're filling up with electricity, but then there's other challenges with that topic.
This is going to be the challenge for electric vehicles because how does government get its share of the pie? So that is going to be interesting stuff. As I say, I have my doubts. I think government depends too much on these fuel levies, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to that. But as we spoke about, or started to speak about a little bit earlier, the Russian conflict has certainly thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, and especially in a sport that we love, being Formula One. And we initially saw some of the drivers started to make comments and statements that they were not going to go race in Russia at the Russian Grand Prix. And Vettel was certainly one of the first ones. Even Verstappen said that he didn't think it would be right. And just now, we found out that, in fact, they've made a decision to bin the Russian Grand Prix, which is stunning news.
And to cancel a Grand Prix, just in terms of the contracts involved and the finances involved, it just shows you how big the situation is, that it's influencing everything. I saw a headline as well, the Champions League final, I think it's soccer, so I don't follow it too closely, but apparently there's a big soccer game that was meant to be in St. Petersburg that's now moved to Paris. And it shows you how big this conflict is. It's going to affect things like we discussed, fuel prices, going to affect the oil price. And it's permeating everywhere. We're in the middle of history.
We saw Haas also dropping its livery in terms of sponsorship because we know that Nikita Mazepin's father is the principal sponsor of the team. And I think Gene Haas took a sort of a moral decision to not display the sponsorship. For me, that has even greater ramifications for Nikita Mazepin himself in terms of his longevity in Formula One, because let's face it, he's there because of the money.
And what does the FIA do in terms of the contracts now? If there's a team that's taking the stance to pull off its sponsorship, but then does the FIA support that team in some way? Because it is we have this discussion all the time around don't bring politics into the sport we love. But unfortunately, sport is involved in politics, and this is such an interesting time. What does not just the team do, but what does the sport do?
100%. So very, very interesting times. We just hope that this situation does get wrapped up very quickly and that it doesn't impact the sport too much. But that brings us to the end of the news segment. And coming up next, we're going to have the review of the Nissan Navara. And it's a special review because obviously when the guys were down in the Kalahari filming Footbag Diaries, they took the opportunity to produce a magnificent review of the Navara. And that's coming up next in this week's review.
Hi guys, and welcome to another review with Let's Talk Automotive. My name is Fanny Skalsen. This is Fritz de Jager, normally behind the scenes, but in this case, very much so in front of the camera.
Because I was behind the steering wheel.
Because you were behind the steering wheel. So we had the opportunity to go on an 11-day trip in the Kalahari to do a film shoot. for Footpeg Diaries.
And you were on a bike,
Yes.
but I was doing camera and behind the scenes like I usually do, so I had to be in a bakkie.
So we had to get a backup vehicle for the trip, and that's where this beautiful Navara came in.
So thanks to Nissan South Africa for actually allowing us to take this vehicle on this adventure. And what an adventure, Fani.
Exactly, Fritz, and we thought that a trip like this would probably put the vehicle through its paces properly. It was a proper test in the environment that this vehicle was made to be.
And in my mind, Fani, in older versions of the Navara, I had an impression that it's more of a city vehicle. It wasn't really geared for the rough and tough. So we put it through the paces. We had a constant trailer on the back. We had a canopy that was heavily loaded. The terrain was sandy, rocky. We did 4,000 kilometers in this trip. So we put it through its paces.
So now that we're back in Pretoria and the trip's over, Fritz, let's talk about the experience. And first of all, let's talk about, we started here in the driveway at the studio, fully loaded, trailer, 2 bikes, all our supplies, all the camera equipment, everything, and off we went on the highway to Uppington.
So first off, because we had to take you and Pierre in the vehicle with the bikes on the trailer, it was a different load, and we had to get there 850 kilometers from Pretoria to Uppington. So firstly on the tar road, with the 7-speed automatic gearbox and cruise control, it was a dream. It was comfortable. You sat at the back, so that ticks the Fani fit already.
Absolutely.
And it was a great drive down to Uppington without any hiccups, enough power for overtaking, and the trailer just came along.
Yeah. I think that's one of the huge advantages of the Navara range, is that it is probably one of the best towing vehicles out there. So that ticked the box, like you said. We were on the highway all the way, fully loaded, 4 people, trailer, bikes, equipment, no worries whatsoever.
And then we got to the campsite and we had to transition. So we took the bikes off, reloaded everything, and we filled up all the tanks on the roof, adding another 180 kilograms of fuel on the canopy. And that was off-road from there all the way. And remember, I had to keep up with the bikes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting track. We did some of the very, very rough and tough eco 4x4 route. We did lots of sand, we did lots of riverbeds. How was this vehicle off-road in your experience?
Okay, to start off, I'm a plaasjappie, so I've done a lot of not on the tar driving,
Yes.
but not 4x4 hardcore off-road per se. So first time I drive a 4x4 in automatic,
Yeah.
so that was a learning curve for me. Sometimes I failed where I didn't choose high or low range, but I did a lot of low range in the sand and crawling up the rocks with the trailer behind me. And I did a lot of 4 high, just faster transition to catch up with the bikes. And all in all, it was a marvelous experience. The power, the gears, the comfort. We'll have to talk about the suspension because this blew me.
This is exactly something that we spoke about in the previous review, was the upgraded suspension on this model versus the previous one. So now, put through its paces, we can honestly say that in every situation the vehicle was in, the suspension is actually, and it's stock standard. This is what we also need to mention. This vehicle was stock standard. The only thing that we changed on here was the tires.
I put some other tires on and some accessories, but you're right. And I must say it's actually scary that I look at the road surface and think this is going to be rough, and the Navara just handles it. So back to my previous point, the previous impression I have had of the Navara is totally changed. I'm a bakkie lover, and my next bakkie is probably going to be a Navara because it's a real bakkie now.
Yes.
And I think it's a workhorse. It really impressed me.
Let's just mention that this is the LE spec, so sort of the middle of the way. Obviously, the Pro 4X and the Pro 4 or the Pro 2X is a higher specification than this. But I think this LE spec in auto 4x4 did everything that we wanted it to do.
There was nothing that I needed. It's got the radar, so once or twice it told me that I'm a bit close. It had all the sensors. Maybe the reverse sensor and the towing is a bit irritating, but there's a bypass button. So it had everything I needed. And the XL, am I correct? LE. The LE comes with an 18-inch rim, which might sound like a bit of a low profile, but still, when we deflated the tires to about 1.5 bar, it improved the traction tremendously, and we went everywhere where the bikes went. You said Eco 4x4 route. This is not a gravel road. This is an adventure off-road track.
Correct.
And we didn't stop anywhere.
So I think let's just look back at what we did. A lot of sand riverbeds, and when I'm talking sand, it's not a little sandy patch on a dirt road, it's just kilometers of sand. So there you were comfortable with everything, even with a trailer on the back.
Well, a trailer is like a big anchor, so there was about 2 times where I went flat on my belly, and we had to deflate, and I had some help from the other vehicle that gave me a little pull, but every time I actually got out on my own. So with a trailer that's heavily loaded, it's a challenge.
And
but
it's not a fented trailer, eh?
No, it was
a small 6-foot fented trailer.
It was a long trailer with big wheels. Luckily, the wheels followed these tracks quite comfortably. But then on some places I had the opportunity to get rid of the trailer, and then this was a little bouncy bunny. It was so comfortable. I didn't stop anywhere. I could do the uphills, the red sand dunes, and it was also great fun on the sand, on the salt pan. I couldn't keep up with the bikes, but beautiful, fully impressed.
Okay. We also did some technical off-road riding, 4x4, up a little hill that we'll also show the viewers while we're talking about it. Lots of big rocks, lots of big holes, so lots of suspension travel again, and that again with the trailer behind you, and made it quite easily.
So it was a bit tricky because the trailer was long, so the trailer actually did a shortcut with each turn, and I didn't have a lot of space on the outside. So one thing that was a bit tough for me was the height of the nose, and the back was dropped because of all the weight, so I couldn't see. There was a lot of places where I really needed some more vision, but I had France in front guiding me, and then I took that uphill in low range, and the power delivery on the automatic was marvelous. So it was physically just a tap and go, and I could crawl up nicely, never had an issue, never had an hiccup or too little power, and also at rimvastmaak. It was an extreme downhill, and I thought, am I going to get back up? And I took it in low range because I'm a novice, and it handled beautifully, gave me the correct power at the correct time, and wheel slip was almost never an issue.
Okay. So Fritz, I don't think there's much more to say about this Navara. I think Pete and I both gave this bakkie a 10 out of 10 in our normal on-road review. If we have to rate this now, you know, you experienced it, so I'm going to ask you for a rating, and if you've already answered the question if you'd buy one or not, but give us a rating out of 10 and just confirm that you would buy one of these.
I will definitely buy one of these, and I probably will, and I'll give it a 9.8 out of 10. Maybe I couldn't see over the nose, and that was a bit of an hindrance for me. But other than that, there's nothing much to say. I'm not the expert, but the experience I had was marvelous. Interior was great. All the systems worked perfectly. The keyless system didn't bug me at all. There was nothing I needed more from this vehicle, except for my name on the registration paper.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you very much, Fritz, and thank you very much, Nissan South Africa, and also a big thank you to My Ride, who was our travel sponsor for this trip. I think the guys
to join them, and again, Nissan for allowing us to experience this vehicle. It was a great joy. Fani, thanks for inviting me.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you again next week.
Do yourselves a favor and have a look at Footbag Diaries, the Kalahari edition, and you'll see that bakkie being put through its paces. But enough of the review. It's time now for our special guest of the week, and in the studio live we have Dave Esterhuizen from Daze. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Brett.
Awesome. All right, so I think let's kick off. You've got a couple of questions that you wanted to start off with, Dave.
I think the context is important because, I'm a customer. I do enjoy going to the Daze. The way you and Arno run the Daze, I think, is really, really special. But in your words, what would you say sets Track Days apart from the other track day companies out there?
I think you've actually just obviously started already by saying the way we run it. We like to be on time, strict. Stick to the rules, make everybody wear leathers. I think the important things, this is a dangerous sport, but we want to try and make it as safe as possible by being safety conscious.
Okay, so for the viewers out there that perhaps don't know about Track Days, what is Track Days, and is it something that everybody can come and participate in? Is it a free for all? How does it work?
Not free fall, and that's why we run it strict. So. It is a track school, so you can come and ride your superbike in a safe, controlled environment. You have to book. We limit numbers just to make it obviously more safe. But yes, anybody can come. I think it's probably a very intimidating thing to do for people the first time they come to a track. We also insist on wearing leathers, so all the right kit, leathers, boots, helmet, gloves, all the right stuff. So no jeans. Even if you're a C group rider or a first-time rider, leathers are very important, so it's a must-have. Like I said, intimidating because people who haven't been, they're scared to come. It will definitely change the way you ride on the road or how you look at things.
Yep.
I think you guys have both been.
Yep. That's we both started Group C. Started there fresh. Wanting to learn to ride better, started off really slowly. And that's why I asked the questions. I think it's important for the audience out there to know that it's the way the days are run, and it's everybody's welcome. You don't have to be intimidated. There's one of the things I like is like the ego parks at the gate. There's no egos welcome.
And so it should.
So I mean, Brett, you and I have been doing Track Days now for 6-7 years almost. Eh? I mean, it's quite astounding. We were sitting one day in the office going, oh, boy, we wish we could get to grips with the motorbike, and we that evening bought a motorbike.
I remember it well. Yes.
And decided we're going to go do this. But we're a little bit crazy. We come from a track environment from cars, so we knew what we were in for. But I mean, if we have a look at some of the tracks that you use Pekiso, you use Kalahari. Those are serious tracks.
Sure.
At the end of the day,
look, the seriousness of the tracks are the same no matter where you go. Like tracks will have different turns and stuff, but at the same time you're in a controlled environment, and I think that's the safe bit.
Well, I know certainly from my point of view, I mean, I think the last time I rode a motorbike was when I was at school in 1940, and it was a 50cc.
Sure. Look, they've evolved.
So I mean, it certainly didn't render me to be too old, and in fact that's one of the things that I quite enjoy is I'm not the oldest guy on Track Days.
You're not. So at our last Track Day we actually had a guy, I'm gonna say a toppie. He's 75 years old, still riding track. And that's just, I'm happy because I want to be there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's great news for me because you think
almost there.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, for a lot of people do approach us and they say, and we certainly go to the rest of, and I know I'm going to incur your wrath here when I say my biker friends.
Motorcycle enthusiasts.
Motorcycle enthusiasts. Okay, what did you say about bikers?
No, we're not going to go there.
Peter's looking for trouble.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Chelsea. 1940. I knew it. Okay, cool. So I think for them it is quite daunting. But I always try and explain to them that there is the C class and there are instructors, and in fact you have a little bit of a session for everybody that's never been on the track.
100%. So the C class or first-time riders will have a classroom session, more than one. So you're welcome to go back, ask questions. And we get a lot of, we need new blood. So we need guys to come all the time. And it's friends and it's referrals. And it's quite nice to see new people all the time.
So actually an interesting question that's just been whispered to me is the perception out there. And it's actually something I haven't actually thought of. The perception of, do we go ride on the track or do we go take a gentle Sunday breakfast run? And I think it's a perception of the public, which is safer. Did you go ride on a track? People have the perception of it's dangerous, and that's actually an interesting question. Which is, what do the stats show? What is statistically? And it comes down to a question we wanted to ask: what do I tell a rookie? What do I tell somebody who's not sure, who's going, I don't know, but track, it's dangerous. It's
look. I mean, we're gonna debate this. we're going to debate this for a long time if you want to ask that question. But I'm going to tell you now that once you've been to a track day, your Sunday ride will probably become that gentle ride. If you haven't been to the track, it's not, because you think you are on the track. And a lot of people perceive that they need to go as fast as they can. It's Sunday morning, there's no cars. I remember when I used to ride on the road, it was reckless. I mean, I'm up front. But once I've gone to the track, you start looking at things differently.
Yes.
And that's what opened my eyes.
I mean, it's scary for me. Sorry, Brett. It's scary for me because up until recently, I've lived just off Pelindaba Road, and that seems to be everybody's personal track, and the accidents there are horrific.
I'm a two bike owner. So I've got the road bike, which is literally just something to putt around and cruise. And then I've got the 600 superbike for the track. Yeah. And I have no interest now for riding like that on the road. On the road, I just chug along.
What changed your mindset? Apart from,
I've had that accident, which wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But it's actually, riding on the track, that's where the thrill is for me. Sure. You know, to go fast on the road, it's just the risks, and I think it's that message, the perception of risk of track, the perception of risk on road. I think you've got to have the right mindset for both.
For sure, and be able to change between.
Yep. Another feature for me when I go to these track days is obviously to see all the machinery there. I mean, some of the guys really bring out some expensive stuff.
There's some serious stuff, and I think it's just, you know, if you can afford it, that's what you want to ride, and that's what's good for you. But you are more than welcome to come on whatever you've got. We've got guys on all manufacturers, all sorts, and guys that still ride a 2010 bike with no traction control has as much fun as we do on a newer bike because of our sponsorship with the manufacturers. So it doesn't matter what you've got.
All are welcome.
Yeah. I mean, look, the question as well is this just for hobbyists, or is there a serious element to this as well? Can people progress and sort of see if they've got talent and then become?
Sure. Look, we don't really want people to come in, but there are some. Okay, let's go 2 steps back. Some of the national guys will come and ride in the A group. The rules still apply, and if they don't, I will get a bollocking because it's not a race practice. But we let them ride in the A group. It's the faster group. Rules still apply if you're willing to sacrifice that fast lap because there's somebody in the A group which is probably not as quick as a national rider, but they are there, and they probably say the safest riders, let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't want to move groups when I say it's time to move because they feel intimidated.
That was me as well. Moving from B to A was quite scary. Sure. And also, that's part of that management of the day, is making sure there's similar times, there's no big speed differentials.
Look, so we use transponders. It was a very debatable thing. We've gone and proved to insurance companies, which now probably more than 90% of them insure people who come to a track, which other insurance companies or people never used to do.
Yes.
So we've proved to them that once the guy comes more to the track, obviously he's less likely to have an accident on the road. And less claims. So we use the transponders now to put the right amount of people with a similar times in the right group.
I mean, that's, Dave, if we look at the number of riders that can attend a typical event, how many would you say would you peak out?
We sort of limit the groups to 33 riders in a group, 33 riders, 4 groups, so 120 odd riders.
Okay, and I mean, we've been doing this for years now. I can literally count on one hand how many accidents there have been. I know I was one of them.
Yeah.
But
so was I.
It just shows that actually, if you had to take that same number of riders, stick them on the road, they probably would have had.
Look, you've mentioned your road, Pelindaba, which is on the way to Hotties. You go and see the amount of crosses that's on that road. It's eye-opener.
Yeah.
What about the people that say, it's just too expensive? I think from a cost of the day point of view, but also the gear and the bike and the kit and everything else. How would you respond to that?
Look, we've had a guy come on 1000cc, who's just bought it. Had a cheaper helmet, so I don't want to slag anybody, but he had a cheaper helmet, didn't have the kit. He says, well, I've just spent all this money on 1000. I said, you should have bought a 600 with all the right kit.
Yes.
It's more important having the right kit and the right stuff to ride on the road. That tire's hard.
Yeah. Now, talking about kits, what if we had to, start encouraging people to go get a bike and the correct kit? What typically would they need to have an enjoyable day at track days?
Look, everybody has a helmet and everybody has gloves. Yeah. So you're going to need leathers, either a 1 or 2 piece that zips together, and proper boots that cover your ankle. I think those are the important bits.
And then obviously things like tire warmers and bike stands and toolboxes.
Those are not necessary initially. I mean, if you ride in a group, you do 2 laps, the tires warm up. So the warmers come later when people start. You see a picture of the warmers there. So that is one of our sponsors as well. We also sell those at the track. Pete's just got a set for himself.
Yep.
So the warmers help us obviously to go out and not have to worry about a warm-up lap because the tires are already up to temperature.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important bit, and that's why they're there.
And I mean, just anecdotally from myself, I haven't found it to be spectacularly expensive. I think some of my mates spend more money on golf than we do on our track days.
Look, I cycle as well, and that's just as expensive.
Yeah, true story.
We don't judge you.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, we don't judge you. That's
So do all
also
the MotoGP riders, but just saying.
Yeah, I know, just say. It's also just to talk about like the whole day. You know, one of the things that people talk a lot about is tires.
Yeah.
And you know, what are the expectations of costs and things like that? And what is the, you know, you've got your sponsors you've mentioned.
Yeah. So Track Day is sponsored by Michelin. We've got a very good relationship with them. You'll also see that the April event has just opened this morning, and you can now buy your Michelin tires online.
I saw that, yeah.
So you book, buy your tires delivered at the track, you get them at registration, there's a fitment facility so you can fit your tires. As far as cost goes, everything's expensive. Tires are, but the faster you go, the better the tires you will have. Most OE tires will get you around C group, B group on any given day. Some of the guys will bring a bike and still run his bike in on the OE tires in the A group.
Yep.
So the tires are good enough. They're not going to give you phenomenal lap times, but they are good enough. But once you move to a set of slicks, and the reason we use them is because they actually last longer. And you might need the warmers. A tire with cuts will normally sort of start tearing up along the cut.
Yes.
But that's why we use the warmers. Those things need a little bit of warming up as opposed to a road tire.
Okay, awesome.
Also, what I find interesting is you mentioned like it doesn't give you the best lap time. How much do you find the guys that are chasing a lap time want to be the fastest versus the guys that just want to go out and ride and have fun?
That's why there's different groups. There are always going to be the guys trying to go faster. I think that's just like in our nature. You said leave egos at the gate. Not everybody does. But so I think faster lap times will happen. It's a sport, so people will always want to be their best and their quickest.
I've kind of got the approach now that it's like golf. I want to beat my personal best. I'm not necessarily out there to try and set the track alight compared to other people. And having done that, almost the smoother I ride, like with a car, the faster my track.
You can't. I mean, you can't say that enough because that's exactly what happens. The more you're going to chase, the slower you're going to go.
And I actually feel much safer as a result.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have that anxiety.
You actually get to breathe.
Yeah. True
And
story.
to ride around Kalahari is just, it's like, for
phenomenal.
petrol heads, it's holy ground.
It is. I mean, it really is special. Look, I love Pikisa, don't get me wrong.
Yes,
I love Pikisa. I think, the fact that it hosted MotoGP and I'm riding on the same track that Valentino Rossi rode.
They are both iconic.
Yeah.
Kalahari is phenomenal. The facilities, the bathrooms, the flooring, the track surface is so great. And a lot of people, there's a little bit of an education process, but the tire wear at Kalahari is almost zero. And I'm going to say that. Like, Onno's measured it. He's measured his tire and he's used 0.5 mils of his tire on a Kalahari day.
Well, we had that experience. I mean, we fitted a tire at Pikisa and we kind of just about wore the thing down to the canvas. We arrived at Kalahari. Both of us were riding the same bike. We did the whole session on that same tire.
For sure.
This is phenomenal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's probably your net saving, not having to buy that tire at Kalahari.
And it's just, I thought that we've done the numbers and the costs and things like that. And just, I think for the audience out there, if you're going to talk to people around how much these days cost, look at round a golf and things like that versus the total cost of a day and the fun you have. If you bleed 98 octane, you've got to be at a track.
100%.
Exactly that.
I mean, I just want to go to some of the comments. So Elizabeth Berger from Skalkwyk says, best times of my life riding at racetracks with track days. Certainly ours as well, I've got to say. And then Fani asked, how much time on the track could one expect to actually get with 3 groups and 120 riders?
So 4 groups and 120 riders.
4 groups, yeah.
You would probably get 6 25-minute sessions.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound a lot, but let me tell you, very few people do that.
I can tell you this, Fani, for free. And that is that we fit, I mean, we both go to gym. I battle to actually utilize all the sessions. I'm so exhausted
We can also see by the amount of laps you do in each session.
So the short and sweet of it really is that you have more than enough time,
plenty time,
on the track with
And the days run on time, which is
perfect.
Yeah.
As well as Pekisa is a weekend. It's a
Yes.
Saturday, Sunday. So there's one entry fee for the weekend. So that's Saturday and Sunday. So you're probably going to do 9 or 10 sessions, which is a lot.
And then
that's
recover
actually-
on Monday.
And the Pekisa weekend, by the way, as well, is more than just the riding on the track. One of the things that I enjoy is the braais the night before, the camaraderie.
I tell you, that is what Pekisa is all about.
Yeah.
The track's awesome, riding's awesome, we love bikes, we love everything about it. But just putting people away from home, when I say away from Joburg and the hustle and bustle, having a braai, having a relaxed time, everybody talks the same language.
Yeah. No, for
That's
sure.
perfect.
For sure.
And it's not about the value of the bike. And
No,
you guys know,
it means nothing.
You know, I've got this little R6, we got the little 600 as well, and there's no egos. It's just everybody just loves bikes. We all brag about everybody else's bikes, and
Sure.
it's an equal thing.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the track days itself, is it growing nicely? Is it?
That's growing. So obviously with the bad period that we've gone through in everybody's lives, we're not going to even mention it because I think we're over it.
Yeah. Now we've got the war in Russia to talk about.
And that's
Yeah.
February.
So what
Let's see
we've done,
March-
what we've done is we have slightly less events per year, but we have full events, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see new faces. It's nice to see old ones, and we have guys coming back now after a 3-4 year not riding, coming back, and that's great.
That's it. Awesome. Okay, so I've got another 2 questions from Fani.
Sure.
Because I've been badgering him to come and join us on the track.
He's talking about biker Fani.
Biker Fani. Vinniger Fani. He's an adventure bike rider.
Yes.
So we have a little bit of fun poking sort of insults at each other.
Yeah.
He's saying, can I come with my Africa twin?
We want him to come with his Africa twin.
I shouldn't maybe tell the story about how the KTM adventure biker overtook me around the outside during going through sunset.
But you didn't say it, so that's okay.
Yeah, so that I won't say that.
Look, we welcome all bikes. We have guys come on the adventure bikes. We still insist that they wear leathers though.
That was the question. He's going to say, can I bring my adventure gear?
Your Cordura on tar melts nicely into your skin, and you don't want that. Worst case scenario, so you don't want that. Leathers, definitely.
Yeah, the question Fritz is asking is, can Fani put his knee on the tar?
He probably can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
We've
you've got to
got
come,
guys who do.
Fani. We
We want you there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I've got an oversized suit for you, buddy.
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired! I must just to stress the point of all bikes are welcome. You know, we've got the
All
adventure
bikes.
bikes that come, the super bikes, some of the classic bikes that come around. It's such a great place. You go into the correct group with the right lap time, and you just
Regardless
enjoy
of
riding.
what you're riding, yeah.
Enjoy
Yeah,
riding.
you know who else would be awesome to get to a track days is Pierre Breitenbach from Footpeg Diaries, and he's
There's a personal invite. April's coming up.
Actually, Pierre, if you're watching, I think you and Fani have got to make an effort.
I've got about 8 extra sets of leathers that people have donated throughout the years and stuff. So you kit it.
All right, we're going to do that, Fritz. Well done. I think we're gonna get them. Fani's saying I'm an old fart. Yes, okay, but I can get my knee down at this stage.
There is a question actually. I just said in the comments as well. What about pillions?
So we don't allow pillions.
Sorry, what's my ignorance?
What is a pillion rider? A passenger rider.
Well done, Nadia. She asked the question, can I be the pillion?
So a lot of people want to go on the track, but we've obviously now have an extra set of leathers. It's people who are not kitted. It poses a new thing. So previously, some of the schools allowed people in the slow group.
Yeah.
But those guys now who left their egos at the gate went and fetched him because he's going to go show her how fast he can go.
Yeah.
So we just don't allow that.
Fair enough.
Nadia, bring your own bike.
Yes.
There we go.
Excellent idea.
All right, so guys, that's been fantastic so far, Dave. Thank you very much. It's been a real treat to have you. You're not done yet, by the way. So we are.
We're going into game time now, where I think the tradition is you lose.
But I'm going to do a little switcheroo here, guys.
What do you mean?
So I'll show you now, but ladies and gentlemen, this is game time. All right, so the switcheroo that I'm talking about is normally I have to go up against the guest in terms of trying to guess what the bike or the car is. And, I think in all fairness, Brett, I think you can maybe take over that role today. And so we are going to get you guys to play against each other.
Oh, okay.
Now, we all know the rules, I suppose, and just in case you don't know them, Dave, the rules are very simple. We're going to show you a little preview of a picture of a bike, and the theme today is superbike, so it should be up your alley. And if you know the answer, you've got to shout out your name and then give the answer. So if you just
name
give the
first.
Yeah, if you just give the
So if I
answer.
shout Peter, you have to answer.
Oh, I like that. No, that's not how it works.
And we're not
All right.
competitive at all.
No.
No, not at all.
And everybody at home as well, you're more than welcome to join in and see if you guys can guess the bikes as well. So Fritz, if you're ready, I think let's get going with the first bike.
Dave,
Brett. Oh,
Oh,
Honda RC 211.
yep, absolutely. All right. Oh, by the way,
I'm sensing a pattern here.
yeah.
Already, I can see it happening.
You have to
There
shout
it
and
is.
then guess.
oh, look at that. What a absolutely legendary bike in terms of the
100%.
color scheme, everything.
My shirt.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's 1 point to Dave, 0 to Brett. I now get why Fani gets so excited about this game
Yes.
when I lose. So let's move on to the second bike.
Dave,
Oh,
Suzuki. MotoGP Suzuki bike.
okay, what is it? Yeah, all right. So it's the GSX-R. Yeah, all right. So that's 2 points to Dave, and
I'm letting the team
Brett,
down.
come on, buddy.
I'll do my
Come on.
best. Okay.
All right, so let's just see. We've got Fani playing along. He got the first two answers correct. Come on, guys. You're more than welcome to join. Maybe if we put Brett's WhatsApp number on screen, we can help him as well. Okay, so let's get on to bike number 3.
Brett.
Brett. Okay, Brett, what is that?
Yamaha R1.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's
I'd name and then guess.
1 point to Brett.
I gave him that one.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's
Iconic as well. Yeah, like the Honda's iconic.
It
and then
is.
You've got that iconic.
Iconic
Oh,
number
what
on the
super
bike.
bikes aren't
It's the iconic number on the bike.
Yeah.
Ooh,
look at-
yes.
oh, yeah,
What
sure.
happens this year without that number on the grid? It's
Well, he's there in spirit. and
He's
the
going to
team
be
owner,
there.
so
He's
I
going to
mean-
be there.
Yeah.
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move to the fourth bike.
Dave,
Oh,
Honda CBR 600.
That's it. That's our bike, eh? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There we
All
go.
right,
Thought you would
100%.
have that one.
I looked and then just thought of saying
True
I got the
story.
wrong way
True
around.
story. They showed a picture of the cluster of the bike as one of the hints,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's the bike I ride, and I'm like sitting there. I've got no idea.
It's not at 15,000 RPM. That's what no.
Yeah, it's age. All right, so that's 3 points to Dave, 1 point to Brett. Yo, we're almost in an unassailable lead here, but it's not too late, Brett. Not too late.
Let's go.
Finally got the Honda CBR 600. Well done. Nadia, I agree with you. I'm with you. I have no idea on these either. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to bike number 5.
Dave,
Okay, Dave.
I should know this one.
Panigale V4.
Oh,
Yep,
yes.
100%. Sure. Okay, so Dave.
Single swing on.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
yeah,
4.
yeah, I saw the rim design. I was like, no, I'm doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, sure. And
What a
I mean,
beautiful
these are the kind of bikes that we see on the track
100%
days as
they're
well.
there.
So,
They're there.
so it's quite astounding. All right, we've got 2 more bikes left. Brett, come on, you need to pull up your socks here. Come on. You can't win, but you can redeem yourself in front of the international audience that we have. So let's go to
No pressure felt at all.
onto bike number 6.
Brett,
Oh, I'm going. You know what, Brett?
I'm going to give it to you.
Triumph Daytona.
Well done.
One of the nicest
I'll
noises
give you an
ever
extra
made.
bonus point if you can tell me what Daytona it is.
Sorry,
I'll give you an extra point.
675.
There we go. So that's 2 points to Brett.
Yeah.
So there's a BB there. So 1, 2, 3,
And it sounds
and 1,
glorious.
2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3. Oh,
three.
And do I get points for being a geek and saying that there's the 765 Triumph that's also the same motor that comes out of
You know
the
what? I'm
Moto2
just going to
bike?
actually remove that point.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
sorry.
because it's sucking up.
So, okay.
So-
Trying hard.
and there you go.
Okay.
Fani got it as well. Well done, Fani. Okay, so last bike. Yeah, so well, actually, you know what? And Fani does this. I can make up the rules as I go
Okay,
along,
go.
so we can make this this
All or
one
nothing.
count. Yeah, we can make it count 5 points. How's
Okay.
that? Okay. All right, so let's bring it up, Fritz.
Dave,
Okay, Okay.
BMW S1000 RRR.
Oh, there we go. Awesome.
Sport
5
with
points.
the motorsport colours on. Oh, look at that. Oh, isn't that just beautiful?
Absolutely stunning. Okay, one day when we grow up.
Where's the picture from?
Where's
the picture from?
Oh,
What's that?
it was
That's
Portimao, wasn't it?
No, it's not Pekisa, but it looks very
It
similar.
looks very similar. Wasn't that at Portimao when
I
they
think
did
so,
the press
yeah.
launch there? Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question for the audience.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Fritz says it's from Google. He gets the point.
Does that mean that the
Dave,
tradition
well
is
Well done, Dave.
maintained?
Sorry, guys.
Well done. 100% sure.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Agreed.
Alrighty. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our guest of the week. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming through.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you in April at Pekisa. And where can people find you, Dave, in terms of track days?
Facebook, Track Daze, Track-Daze, D-A-Z-E. There's a page and a group. And also there's a website, www.track-daze.co.za.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Cheers,
All right, so now we're going to move on to our next segment, and this is how things work. And today we're going to have a look at two very interesting sensors that give us automatic windscreen wipers as well as automatic headlights. So this is proudly brought to you by Suzuki Auto South Africa. Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk Automotive, and in today's segment of How Things Work, we're going to have a look at some interesting sensors. So if you ever wondered how it is that we get either automatic headlights or automatic windscreen wipers, we're going to explain how we achieve that by looking at the two sensors that give us that opportunity. And the first one is our rain sensor. So as we know, on certain models, we can set our wipers to automatically activate when it starts raining. And not only do the wipers switch on, but they also adjust their speed according to the intensity of the rain. So how exactly does the rain sensor determine if it is raining? And the solution is quite ingenious. The sensor itself is made up of an infrared emitter and an infrared receiver. And the emitter sends off an infrared beam, which when the windscreen is dry, is reflected back onto the receiver. But if a water droplet lands above the beam, it reflects the beam away from the receiver, or certainly weakens the signal. And this weakened or missing beam is the signal there is water on the windscreen. Now, the more often the beam is disrupted, obviously, the faster the wipers will go. So that's how the rain sensor works, but how do the lights automatically switch on? And basically, we use a photocell to send a signal to a control unit when it gets too dark. Now, a photocell is just a fancy resistor that changes resistance depending on the intensity of light shining on it. So the energy of the photons hitting the semiconductor part of the sensor free up electrons to flow, which decreases resistance, and this is the signal to switch on the lights. So there you have it, two ingenious sensors which add amazing benefits and convenience to our vehicles. I hope you found the explanation useful, and we look forward to seeing you on future episodes of How Things Work. Well, you know, I just got a message here from Fani, who played along very nicely on the game time, and he says, yeah, I think I win. And I ignored him. And then I got a, Pete?
We don't ignore him.
Fani, buddy, in my heart, you're a winner.
So, Pete, just on how things work, firstly, I'm a fan of the series, and I think it's, for those, I think part of the audience out there that are just interested in learning about the more technical things, it's, as a viewer, I appreciate those videos. So
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that feedback.
We have fun making them, and you know it's awesome that we have a sponsor in Suzuki Auto South Africa who support us very nicely on this. So may it continue.
Definitely more and more interesting topics to try and understand. Cars get complicated, don't they?
We've done nearly 40 videos on this, and we keep having more and more ideas. So yeah,
Fabulous.
All right, so ladies and gents, we are now going to go to one of my favorite parts of the evening, and that is fun time. All right, so Brett, this next video that is going to be shown here, I saw the accident happen, not physically, but the original video of the accident of this Roy Cut tank crashing.
And how much does that weigh?
Oh, it's a few tons.
It's a few tons of
And it aquaplaned
energy.
off the road in the rain. The question is, can it get any worse? Let's have a look. So there they are, putting it up on its wheels again.
You have to think about all the energy in a lot of what's going on there.
Yeah, you've also got to think about where did these guys learn how to do their rigging?
There's a few questions I have around the rigging, and
Not too bad. There we
oh
go.
no.
Oh,
And then obviously the obligatory hands on head. How did that happen? It was such a surprise.
all I can say is I think Vladimir Putin is shaking at the knees that we come in and intervene. Anyway.
We're having a chat, and we'll send some people as soon as they can find the keys
Yeah, for sure. All right.
and the handbrake.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Brett, listen, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute
you so
pleasure
much.
having you on, and you did a superb job. So well done.
It's great to talk about our industry, isn't it?
Yeah, now Fani is shaking at his knees. Maybe we're going to replace him. No, Fani, we're not. Relax. All right, and then just maybe throwing it forward a little bit, guys, don't forget to also have a look at the latest episode of Footbag Diaries. This is a series that I am genuinely absorbed with, and maybe a little hint of what's coming up. There's going to be a lot of sand and a lot of tears, so make sure you got your tissue box with you when you watch Footbag Diaries. But that's it from Let's Talk Automotive and myself, Peter, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Can't wait.
Cheers, everyone.
Ciao.